Now, as the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases soars to 1,888 cases, so does that of tribal clashes along county borders, with the latest incident occurring in just under 1 week at the border of Nandi, Kakamega counties. I'll also be speaking to Khalef Khalifa, the chairman of Muslims for Human Rights, to understand what the directive to transport all cargo freight via SGR means to the people of the coastal region. This and much more on tonight's broadcast. Welcome to Saturday Night News. My name is Allan Owino, but first, a look at the highlights.
Tonight on Saturday Night News, Bishop Margaret Wanjiru and 25 others recover from COVID-19 as diarrhea is officially confirmed as a symptom of the virus. 2 people killed and 4 others injured in tribal clashes along the border of Nandi, Kakamega counties. Plus, another row between the government and coastal leaders is brewing following a directive to transport all hinterland cargo via the standard gauge railway to the inland container depot in Naivasha. And Nairobi County Assembly Minority Chief Whip Peter Imwatok says people in high government offices are threatening his life.
Welcome to today's bulletin. Our sign language interpreter is Faith Cheptile. 2 people have been killed as 4 others sustained serious injuries on Friday night after tribal clashes erupted at the border of Nandi, Kakamega counties. The clashes were triggered by a land dispute. Mulindi Kari reports.
Erupted on Friday night after villagers in Nikoli, Kakamega County accused some villagers on the Nandi side of the border of trespassing into their grazing fields. Authorities say 2 families living in Kitanin village, Nandi North, on the common border of the 2 neighboring counties, disagreed over a piece of land.
Inaonekana kwamba Mnandi aliteremsha ng'ombe anaitwa Samuel. Anga Sinai akaenda kusema kwamba ng'ombe zimeteremka zaidi, akataka kuchukua hizo ng'ombe, ndio vita ikaanza.
Ama jamaa asubuhi mimi tumepata umejaa hapo aje, kumbe ulikuwa mpanga jana. Kumbe umefika tu kutoka kitambo haki hapo. Tunacheki. Sawa majamaa, si tukaitwa, tukaanza kujisanya, wacha tufukuze, tumejipata tuko huku chini haki sasa mpaka nini nimepotea, nimekuja disanya huku haki.
The dispute quickly flaring up into a tribal clash, and in the ensuing melee, police shot dead 2 men inside Nandi County. Residents from Kitanin village armed with arrows reportedly crossed the border to look for the livestock and confronted the residents from Ikoli community, sparkling the fight. Police have, however, intensified patrols.
Now wanarusha mawe, wanarusha mishale. Baada ya hapo vile tulikutana nao, mmoja akanikata na panga. Nikaanguka chini. Wenzangu wakatokesea, wakafukuza hao, wakarudi kidogo. Tena wakakuja.
Sisi tukajaribu kukinga, lakini aliteleza akaanguka. Huyo sisi tukatoromusa, alikuwa kwa kanisa. Silikuwa vita.
Kakamega North Sub-County Police Commander Peter Manzo said the communities attacked each other with arrows during the confrontation and now calls on relevant authorities to rein on the perennial clashes over land at the border of Kakamega and Nandi counties.
Hapa ni tofauti za mpaka. Hii escarpment imekuwa na fujo sababu wale wa juu wanasema mpaka wao umefika chini. Wale wa chini wanasema mpaka wao umefika juu. Kwa hivyo ni kuuliza tu idara zile zinazowajibika kuja na kutatua huu mzozo. Kwa maana hawa ni wananchi wanasozana kila saa. Ni vizuri hizo idara zije kwa upesi ndio tuweze kuzuia maafa zaidi. Hilo tu ndilo tutakalosema. Leo asubuhi tangu jana polisi wamekaa hapa. Wameshika doria tangu jana.
The injured are hospitalized at Malava Sub-County Hospital, Kaiboi Mission Hospital and Kabiet Sub-County Hospital. One of them is reported to be in critical condition. Mulindi Kerry, TV47, in the county of Kakamega.
Now, former Starehe MP Bishop Margaret Wanjiru has been discharged from Aga Khan Hospital after recovering fully from COVID-19. Margaret Wanjiru, who is among the 26 people discharged today, says her 2 grandchildren are also COVID-19 free, while 6 of her domestic staff are still in quarantine. Eli Logova reports.
Addressing media Wednesday after being discharged from hospital, Bishop Margaret Wanjiru confirmed that she had been treated of COVID-19 and is now fully recovered. The former member of Starehe is now urging all Kenyans to take the COVID-19 test.
Finally, and I will be talking much more about this, I have walked out of this hospital COVID virus free. As it is, I am free. But who is around me? Do I know whether they are free or not? So responsibility begins with you. Don't wait for government.
Bishop Wanjiru further noted that 6 members of her staff are still in quarantine, while her 2 grandchildren who tested positive have also fully recovered and discharged from hospital.
Myself, I was positive, and my 2 grandchildren, my granddaughter and my grandson, and 6 of our home staff. 6 of my staff are also in quarantine.
Margaret Wanjiru, however, refuted claims that she held a prayer party at her home, which was thought to be the reason she contracted the virus.
I'm a home person. I didn't leave home. The disease found me at home. I had no visitors, and to those who are lying that I had groups of intercessors, people praying there, that is not true. I had only my family members and my staff.
Wanjiru further noted that the symptoms she was experiencing before testing positive for COVID-19 were mild, a statement that was corroborated by Director General of Medical Services, Dr. Patrick Amoth.
I did not go to hospital for COVID. I did not go to hospital for a cough. You know, people are waiting for coughs. People are waiting to sneeze. Until makamasi inatoka hivi ndio unakimbia hospitali kuangaliwa kama uko COVID. Mimi siku sneeze, sikuenda juu ya kukohoa. I went to hospital because I had food poison.
Yes, each and every day we learn new things about COVID-19. As Waziri said, diarrhea and vomiting are now cardinal features of COVID-19 disease, especially in the elderly people and the young people.
26 people were on Saturday discharged from hospital nationally after they fully recovered from COVID-19. A total of 464 people have fully recovered since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Kenya. Eli Logova, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, Mvita Member of Parliament Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir has protested the directive by the Ministry of Transport through Cabinet Secretary James Macharia to transport all cargo from the port of Mombasa through SGR during the COVID-19 pandemic period. Aaron Kipkoech reports.
Alivyozungumza neno baada ya neno, waziri muhusika alivyozungumza ya kuwa wanalikataa jambo hili na hili jambo linakuwa reversed in totality. Kwa nini mtie bughudha katika maisha ya watu, hususan katika wakati kama huu? Why create unnecessary tension? Why push people to the brink? You know, I just fail to understand. We would have seen an advert in the paper, either from the ministry or from the relevant committee of parliament, kusema kwa, can we have your views on this particular matters? That did not happen. And the issue of shutting this thing down was actually given a 10-day notice. This is, the directives will become effective after 10 days from the date of this notice, and for the avoidance of doubt, from 1st of June 2020. Why now shut down a whole area based on the fact that the railway needs to run? People need to live as well. And facts and figures don't lie. Easy figures zote ambazo kwamba zimeweza kutolewa, these were launched by the same government. Amount of Kenyans currently who cannot even afford to pay rent. Right now, watoto wako majumbani hawajarejea katika mashule. You want to see the economic pinch, ngojea uangalie sasa mashule zikishaweza kufunguliwa, watoto wanafaa kurejea mashule. What percentage of Kenyans are actually going to be Kenyan children will be going to school? Why should one area be marginalized and another area be made to grow? Why can we not say that because of how beautiful our constitution is, every single area can be able to flourish by being, complementing each other?
All right, that story on the SGR cargo dispute brings us to our first live interview via Skype, where I'm joined by Khalif Khalifa, who's the chairman of Muslims for Human Rights. Good evening, Khalif.
Good evening.
All right, so let's just get straight into it. Now, Muslims for Human Rights, together with other groups, have publicly said that they are not against the idea of the transport cargo via SGR, and you want it to be an option, not a compulsory mode of transport. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, that is our stand.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, let's go back to the history, because this SGR is shrouded in mystery.
All right.
There's a lot of things that we wanted to know. On December 16th,
yes,
we, as Okwa Mombasa, we filed a case, ATI, access to information, seeking the release of agreement contracts relating to SGR.
Yes.
That was December 16th. As you're aware, SGR is the most expensive infrastructure project in Kenya's history.
All right.
Mostly it's via loan through Exim Bank. It costs about 327 billion.
Okay.
Then later President Uhuru Kenyatta promised to release the contracts, made it public.
Yeah.
He is yet to do so, despite taxpayers' money being used. Now, government response to our access to information request has been evasive. Government claims that they are state secret.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to taxpayers' money, it's hard to tell people this is secret.
All right.
Because it involves taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
Now, we requested from government agencies, the Principal Secretary of Ministry of Transport.
Yes.
1, 2, Managing Director of KPA. We also wrote to Managing Director of Kenya Railways, and the Director General of Kenya Bureau of Statistics. Now, the Registrar General on December 18th, 2019.
Yes.
Kenya Railways refused to provide documents.
Okay.
Now, on January 17th, 2020, Ombudsman wrote to state agencies that Mombasa had addressed. Now, on February 6th, 2020, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics responded by giving partial statistics Mombasa Port and SGR. Now, on March 6, 2020, Registrar General asked me to pay 600 shillings for research fees, and 500 per page for certified copies.
Yeah.
Now, the SGR was done without public participation, within the provision for Articles 10, 118, 124, 201, 221, and 232.
Yeah.
Now, our biggest contention on the whole issue of this SGR, that the minister, Macharia, that forced all the consignees and all the cargo that they should use SGR to transport all the goods to Embakasi and later to Suswa.
Yes.
Rendering the port of Mombasa, which is a natural harbor, completely useless.
Yeah.
Because the cargo The ships arrived in Mombasa.
Yeah.
All the cargo, they were put in SGR. Then they go to Embakasi and Suswa in Naivasha.
Yeah.
Mind you, Mombasa, it is the smallest county out of all 47 counties.
Yes.
Mombasa has no agriculture. Mombasa has no industry.
Yeah.
Mombasa depends entirely on this port. Now, when the government says that because of economic reasons,
yeah,
you're talking about the government.
Yes.
Now the question Mombasa people are asking, aren't we part of the government?
Okay. Now you've talked of very interesting aspects in your feedback, and what I want to jump onto next is the loss of jobs is an inevitable scenario with such a directive. Now, in the event that the government does not go back on its word and transport of cargo via SGR is kept compulsory, is there a plan B in place for these people?
Yeah, I think we are going to take the easiest way first.
Yeah.
Because there is already a case in court.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
In regard to this forced. We are not saying that people should not use SGR, but what we're saying, people should not forced using SGR. Because, first of all, SGR is more costly than transport by road.
Yeah.
Now the government is talking about roads being damaged. Mind you, there is a fuel levy. The transporters pay for that.
Yes.
It does not cost anything from taxpayers' money at all. And the government collects billions of money. Okay?
Yes.
Now, when you force people, tell them you must. That is against the law and the Constitution, period.
Yeah, definitely.
Second, you know, there was no public participation.
Okay.
This is where President Uhuru Kenyatta made a big mistake. The provisions of public participation, it is in the Constitution because there is the reasons why they put it there.
Yes.
Now, they did not take into consideration, you know, there are over 15,000 trucks that they're going to lose.
Yes.
Now, talking about 15,000, you are talking about a big chunk of economy of Mombasa. Now, if Mombasa sink economically, the whole Coast Province will sink.
Yes.
Now, this is our worry. Now, what we are saying, if the government persists that it must, I think this is where the political decision is to come in.
All right.
We are going to pin down our politicians.
Yes.
I'm telling you, we are going to pin down our politicians to support our demand that Port of Mombasa remains Port of Mombasa and services be rendered back to Port of Mombasa.
Yes.
There is no any other way. If they don't do that, we are going to resort back to demonstration. And this time, it will be do or die.
All right. Now, you've made that very clear, and you've talked of public participation. Just as we wrap this up, I want to ask, could you say that the leaders have turned a blind eye to this situation? What has been their role in this whole scenario with regards to the directive?
Now, if you're talking about national leaders, you're talking about Mombasa leaders or Coast Province leaders, I think all of them, they have turned, they have completely forgot the interest of the Coast Province.
Okay.
Very unfortunate. But what we are saying, the little that Governor Joho tried it initially about 4 years ago.
Yes.
And, you know, he went quiet. The MP from Vita Abdulsamad, he's trying, but we said it's not enough. They must bring this issue to the people and make sure they involve the people for decision making. It's not enough in a lonely voice in Parliament that is going to change. It is not going to change.
All right.
Because this is not only a political or economic decision,
yes.
but this also is ethnic, tribal decision.
Yes.
People of Mombasa are asking, hey, this port, all the tribes which are up country there, are in Mombasa, would do that. People of Mombasa said they would have never done it.
All right. Now, Caliph, running out of time, but I just want to give you 20 seconds as we finish for you to answer this last question. When you talk about public participation, there are two ends to this. There are the leaders' bit of it, and the other end of it is the people who voted in the leaders, and most of these people are the young people. I just want to understand their role in this whole situation. Have they taken interest in looking into this, or this is just another normal situation for them?
Look, when we're talking about public participation, it is both. It is the counties and it is the people.
Yes.
And the Constitution is very, very, very clear on that. Okay? Now, most people, first of all, Mombasa was just sinking. Shops were being closed, offices were being closed. Now you go to Mombasa, even parking is much easier now than it was before. And then came COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. It makes things worse. But I'm telling you, within 6 months, 1 year, things will be extremely bad.
Okay.
And people take an extreme measures.
Yes.
Extreme. Because this is not right. Because we are part of Kenya. And we should not be otherwise.
All right, Caliph. Thank you very much for your time this evening and with providing us with your insights on this cargo dispute that's ongoing.
Thank you, Allan. Thank you very much.
All right, that was Caliph Khalifa, the chairman of Muslims for Human Rights, just giving us his insights with regards to that situation. And at this point, we'd love to take a short break, but don't go back. When we get back, we have more for you. right, thank you very much for staying with us right here on Saturday Night News. And if you're joining us right now, remember you can communicate with us on all our social media platforms. That's at TV47KA, or you might as well use the details on the bottom right of your screen. Let's continue with the bulletin. The ministry has today reported 143 new COVID-19 infections in the country. According to Director General for Medical Services, Dr. Patrick Amoth, the ministry is beefing up response efforts in slum areas since the cases of infections are rising day by day. Today, Kibra has reported an additional 21 new cases. Zablon Masharia reports.
3 days in a row, the Ministry of Health has recorded more than 100 new cases of COVID-19. On Saturday, an additional 143 new infections were recorded. Out of the number, Nairobi is leading with 86 cases, followed by Mombasa with 25, Uasin Gishu with 11, Kiambu 6. Kericho County has recorded its first COVID-19 case. In Nairobi County, Makadara is leading with 45 cases, Kibra 21, Ruaraka 3, Langata and Starehe have 1 case each.
Busia 3, Kwale 3 cases, all from Sambweni. Migori 3 cases, all from Kuria West. Kajiado 1 case from Kajiado North. Kisii 1 case from Bobasi. Garissa 1 case from Lagdera, Isiolo 1 case from Merti, Kericho 1 case from Ainamoi, and Makueni 1 case from Kibwezi West.
26 patients are fully recovered and discharged from hospital, bringing the number of total recoveries nationally to 464. 1 more patient succumbed to the virus. According to Health CAS Dr. Rashid Aman, it's worrying to see that some politicians are not following the ministry's guideline to combat the spread of COVID-19. This comes a day after Luhya leaders met at KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli's home in Kajiado. The leaders hardly maintained social distance and they were more than 15, the maximum number recorded for a public gathering.
It is disturbing and disheartening to observe from time to time the casual manner in which some of us in leadership positions practice the containment measures. As leaders, it is of crucial importance that we walk the talk.
Dr. Aman has also called upon Kenyans to give correct personal information when taking COVID-19 test in order for the health officials to effectively deliver the results of their tests. Zablon Masharia, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, no truck drivers will be allowed to make a stopover in Keses sub-county in Eldoret, which is along Nairobi-Malaba Highway. Deputy County Commissioner Tari Rwaria gave the directive and warned that stern action will be taken against drivers who will not obey. Rwaria says the directive is aimed at stopping the spread of coronavirus by truck drivers from Uganda who frequently stop at the Keses, Cheptiret and Ngeria shopping centers. He also warned residents not to interact with truck drivers unnecessarily for their own safety. Uasin Gishu County has recorded 11 cases of COVID-19 and have so far, with many traced back to interactions with truck drivers.
Passing through the sub-county, the residents near the highway, that is Eldoret Nakuru Road, have been advised to maintain social distance and taking all other precautionary measures to avoid being infected. And moving forward, all long-distance trucks have been directed not to stop around here. They have designated areas where they are supposed to stop. The nearest around here is Gilgil and Malaba. So once the load is cleared and then they start flowing well, we do not expect this truck to stop near here in Cheptiret, Ngeria, and also along the highway. Those who violate this, they are going to be dealt with according to the law.
Now that story brings us to our second live interview where Mercy Ireri, the Chief Operations Officer at the Kenya Transporters Association, is on standby. Mercy, can you hear me? Hello, Mercy, can you get me? Right, we seem to be experiencing some slight problem with the connectivity of that Skype call. We'll get back to Mercy when we sort this one out. Let's now move to other stories. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry wants the government to reopen economy in a structured and gradual manner to save businesses from total collapse. The Chamber President Richard Ngatia says every sector of the economy in the country is dwindling and it is even difficult for small traders to survive. Right, let's move on to the next story. Nairobi County Assembly Minority Chief Whip Peter Imotok has said that his life is in danger. Imotok claims people in positions of power in government are sending him threats, which he believes are ignited by his fight against corruption and his support for Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Liz Mutuku reports.
Addressing the media this afternoon, Makongeni Ward MCA Peter Imotok said he has been receiving life-threatening messages from people in high offices in government.
Sisi maisha yetu si ya kuku. Wacha tueleza wanaume vizuri. Sisi si kuku ya kukanyaga na kuchinja. Sisi pia ni wana na binti ya wanadamu. Tuna baba, tuna wazazi. Wacheni vitisho. Tumechaguliwa katika jiji hili kuwakilisha wakaaji wa Nairobi. Vitisho ya kuchinjwa kama kuku isikuwepo. Wacha tufanye kazi.
Imotok father says he's recorded statements with the police on several occasions since last year, but no action has been taken by the relevant authorities.
Paka saa hii hawa watu bado wanatembea kwa hizi streets wakiwa free. Kwa hivyo hata taarifa nimeandikisha kweli. Paka wa leo sijaitwa kuambiwa kijana maisha yako hatarini, tumepata kitu na fulani. Hakuna. Immediately DCI wa industry ni alibadilishwa. Wale CIDs wakabadilishwa.
Was it a crime for us to support the Nairobi Metropolitan Services? Because what is coming out now is that lives are being threatened for one reason. That if you support Nairobi Metropolitan Services, then your life is threatened.
Other MCS in support of Imotok are now accusing Nairobi City County Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko of interfering with the enemies, despite Sonko handing over 4 key functions of the county government to the national government.
Iko watu fulani ambaye wanaingilia kasi ya Director General. Na nikauliza hata juzi, kama wewe umehand over factions na imekushinda, utarudi namna gani tena useme unaenda kupeana advice vile hiyo kazi itafanywa? Haya mambo tunazungumza si kwa sababu ya iasi, tunazungumza mambo ya machungu. Ule ni mama, bibi ya mtu, mama ya watoto. Unapopiga mwanao unaambia wewe ni nani tukutane mbele. Tunasema kutana mbele, following day una digazeti bill tumepitia kwa assembly. Kwani sisi ni watoto katika assembly hii?
Further, the MCS say if need be, they will revive the motion of impeachment against Governor Sonko.
Mheshimiwa Geto, Mheshimiwa Tingesa, Mheshimiwa Faya ana budi kuleta mswada ingine. Si lazima imwato. Lakini kama itafika pale na wajumbe wamekubaliana vile tulikuwa tumekubaliana last time, itakuwa hirishari.
It's now evident that disputes and divisions in the County Assembly of Nairobi won't be ending anytime soon. Now a section of MCS threatening to bring back a motion of impeachment against Governor Sonko. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi.
All right, now we move on to our earlier story on truck drivers' woes, where I'm joined by Mercy Ireri just to put a voice to the situation, and she's the Chief Operations Officer at the Kenya Transporters Association. Mercy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. So let's now get straight into it. Now, following the closure of the Salgas stopover recently, the situation at Juakali and Cheptiret has definitely worsened. What have you had to deal with in terms of congestion, and how has it affected business over the past few days?
First of all, this is a very unfortunate move by the county government of Uasin Gishu, because the area that has been closed by the governor is an area that traditionally is a stop area for drivers for rest.
Yes.
And since the beginning of the COVID-19, we as transporters, we've taken the initiative of also sensitizing our drivers on the best practices. For example, we are really discouraging them from sleeping in lodges, but encouraging them to sleep in the truck so that they minimize movement as much as possible. So these, unfortunately, the governor's county is along the corridor that is manned by the national government. So it's very, very unfortunate that this is happening actually in our country.
Okay. Now, in light of curbing the coronavirus spread of the coronavirus, so to say, the Uasin Gishu County Governor Jackson Mandago has also urged truck drivers not to visit their family members. How receptive have the truck drivers been to this call?
You see, of course, there must be measures that are in place to make sure that once the drivers are visiting their families, they do not actually spread it further to more and more people. So the national government has ensured that there is a screening of drivers, random screening of drivers along the corridor, so that they are able to monitor their health and their body temperature. That is one of the measures that the national government has put in place. Secondly, we all know that there are frequent tests. In fact, these drivers can be tested even 2 times in a week.
Okay.
Because if one has been tested in Mombasa and the same person will get to Malaba in 2 days, they're also being tested. So you find that actually these truck drivers, the truck drivers are tested more times than any other person, and therefore to deny them the opportunity to see their family members is quite unfortunate.
All right. So let's now talk about the government directive to transport all cargo from the Mombasa port via SGR. I just want to understand, where does this leave Kenya Transporters Association as an entity that handles truck drivers' interests?
It's important for you to note that as Kenya Transporters Association, what we are advocating for, and the reason why you find that KTA is also responding to the letters that, or to the directive issued by the Kenya national government, is that we are advocating for freedom of choice. We want an importer to choose a transporter at will, and we want an importer to choose to use the rail at will. We've also tabulated the costs of transporting goods via rail and via SGR, and what we're telling importers, at the end of the day, transporters are cheaper and even more efficient.
Okay, now just the last question before I let you go. The government argues that part of what drove the decision behind this directive was that they're trying to curb the spread of the virus. Do you feel this is the genuine reason behind this, or there is a bigger reason to this whole directive?
It is ingenious for the government to say that they're trying to curb the spread of COVID-19 through railing of cargo to the SGR, because who is going to do the last mile? Isn't it the transporter? So what will they have done?
All right, Mercy, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you too for having me.
All right, that was Mercy Ireri, the Chief Operations Officer at the Kenya Transporters Association, providing us with an insight on the situation with the truck drivers' woes. As you've heard from them, they are just trying to reach an amicable solution to this whole situation so that every single person bringing in cargo can have a choice and not necessarily be compulsory for it to be transported via SGR. Let's now move on to the other story. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry wants the government to reopen the economy in a structured and gradual manner to save businesses from total collapse. The Chamber President, Richard Ngatia, says every sector of the economy in the country is dwindling, and it is even difficult for small traders to survive.
A week ago, President Kenyatta announced a 57.3 billion shillings economic stimulus package. From the package, government would provide soft loans to hotels to jumpstart the hospitality sector that has been adversely affected by COVID-19. The government also plans to inject 3 billion shillings as seed capital for SME credit guarantee scheme. Nonetheless, the economy needs to reopen strategically and fast. According to Richard Ngatia, the president of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, businesses need to reopen soon in full compliance to COVID-19 containment measures.
His Excellency, the President of Uhuru Kenyatta, said early this week, we cannot live in a lockdown, and I agree with him. We cannot live in a lockdown forever. Currently, the economy is dwindling. Every sector of the economy is at its lowest. This means we have to make difficult decisions with the guidance of professionals. That is the Ministry of Health. This is the right thing to do right now.
Ngatia observed that without lifting some of the restrictions government has imposed to stop the spread of COVID-19, like the night curfew, some traders, mainly hotel owners and market traders, cannot survive post the pandemic.
We as the Chamber of Commerce are of the opinion that a well-coordinated approach in liaison with the relevant authorities, stakeholders and government agencies, we shall moot a program to see it that no business premises, facility or even establishment operates without being 100% compliant. The national and county governments have up, bottom and below up mechanisms which we shall supplement through all our 47 county chamber chapters. That is a commitment. As the chamber president, I am committing that we shall work in partnership with the private sector, social sector, and also the public sector to make sure that we adhere to regulations, guidelines that have been provided by the Ministry of Health as we conduct our businesses.
Ngatia, who was addressing the press in his office in Nairobi, said some of the affected traders have been rendered penniless and their businesses are on the verge of total collapse.
We must be candid enough to admit that more than 80% of our population are in informal sector. Only a marginal proportion is directly employed by government. And while still, majority of our youth and women earn hand to mouth. Those who are small traders, those who are in retail business. Most of them are doing these businesses after hours. They're doing their businesses at 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. What happens with Mama Mboga? They have to get their produce as fresh from the farmers so that they're able to get and reach the market before 2 a.m. or even 5 a.m. This has become very difficult. That means they can't make ends meet.
Ngatia, however, commended and thanked President Uhuru Kenyatta, saying he has shown goodwill to the private sector, besides trying to reach out to all sectors to ensure commerce in the country remains sustainable.
Now, the Nursing Council of Kenya, NCK, has started organizing Zumba dance fitness sessions for nurses and health workers to help them deal with the stress and difficult work during the coronavirus disease. The weekly sessions take place at the Infectious Disease Unit ground with participating.
Nurses, midwives and other frontline workers let loose in a Zumba class. They are based at Mbagathi Hospital's infectious unit, which is part of the huge and sprawling Kenyatta National Hospital facility. The class was organized by the Nursing Council of Kenya. These nurses are proud of what they do. Many of them work on COVID-19 wards, treating infected patients.
Sometimes you get lost in this work, but activities like Zumba help you to liberate your mind, help you to live and feel once again. So Zumba is something that I should recommend, and I recommend to any stressed person, especially people on the front line.
Kenya has recorded 1,745 cases of COVID-19 and 62 deaths. More than 5,000 workers are being recruited in the fight against the pandemic. Some frontline workers have complained about the lack of personal protective equipment. Many of these frontline workers are facing long hours, mental stress, and some have been shunned by their communities because of the fears that they will spread the pandemic.
I feel so relaxed. I feel like this is something that we need to have like once a week or even twice a week to release that tension and the pressure that we have when you're managing these patients.
This session helps them dance their worries away, at least for a few minutes. Tracy Mukami, TV 14.
The water narrative for people living in Mbeere South Embu County is changing. Many a times when drought strikes, they are seriously affected and left to survive on wild fruits until relief food reaches them. Construction of water pans in the area. William with more details.
In the recent past, sugarcane farmers from Western Kenya have been lamenting over late payment for their sugarcane, despite sugar millers processing sugar and eventually selling it. However, they could soon put their woes behind them. This is after Agriculture CS Peter Munya gazetted new regulations that will caution the farmers against exploitation right from growing to selling of their canes. This implies that respective sugar millers will be obligated to ensure that they harvest the crop and pay farmers on time. Joshua Mangoli is the Nzoia Sugar Board chairman.
There's now a law, regulations, as how you can get your raw material, how you can plant, how you can harvest, how it belongs to which millers. And that was in task force, but it has now been made law by the minister cassetting the regulation, rules and regulation of the sector. It means now the task is on the management and the boards of all those government millers to take the challenge and deliver on the mandate which they have been given. Pay the farmers on time. Collect sugarcane from the farms on time so that you benefit yourself as a miller and the farmer benefits.
According to the new rules, the farmers are at liberty to sell their sugarcane to a company of their choice and enter into a bilateral agreement that must be respected by both parties. Mr. Omangoli now wants the government to exempt sugar millers from tax obligations, the same way it happened with other crops.
We are also going to have to register farmers to the factory the farmer wants to come. Farmers are going to have a contract which is signed and sealed, such that any material contract in that contract must be delivered by the millers. If they have said you pay the farmer 7 days, you must pay the 7 days. KRA is asking us 16%, and we are the only crop that pays 16%. Remove that 16%. There's no crop in this country which is profitable than sugarcane. Remove it.
The chair has also called on President Uhuru Kenyatta to impose a ban on the importation of sugarcane from other countries, the practice that has adversely affected the sugar sector in the country.
The minister to go further by making sure the imported sugar is curtailed. They only import sugar which is sought for, not to bring the sugar here to destroy the market.
Farmers, together with millers, will form a committee that will sanction the importation of sugar. The regulations also empower county governments to be in charge of regulating sugar prices. Nzoia Sugar Managing Director Wanjala Makoha says there shall be a special task force that will regulate sugar prices.
Kuna kamati ambayo itaundwa kutokana na hizo regulations. Kamati hiyo ndio itakuwa inatathmini na kuamua bei ya miwa. na kamati hiyo itakuwa inashirikisha Wizara ya Kilimo, itakuwa inashirikisha wenye viwanda kama sisi, na pia itakuwa inashirikisha serikali za county.
Nzoia Sugar Company has a total of 7,000 acres of land with a total of 64,000 workers who are employed by the company.
And while it is a relief to sugarcane farmers in Western region, all eyes now shift to these millers and the government itself to see if they're gonna pay sugarcane farmers in due course. Reporting for TV 47 from Bungoma County, I'm Mike Kagwango.
All right, the story that you've just watched is a story on the sugarcane farmer growers from Western Kenya who got a respite after the Ministry of Agriculture gazetted new regulations to cushion them against exploitative sugarcane millers that delay in dispersing funds long after harvesting the crop. Now, let's take the previous story on water pans for life. The water narrative for people living in Bere South, Embu County is changing. Many a times when drought strikes, they are seriously affected and left to survive on wild fruits until relief food reaches them. But a water project will enable them harvest water from the rain following construction of water pans in the area. Mwege William with more details.
Bere South, Embu County. A semi-arid region, and when the scorching sun rises, the place is hard hit by drought and famine. But things are taking a turn around with the help of storing rainwater through domestic dams, turning the place green with a lot of agricultural activities taking place now. With the heavy rains experienced in the country, residents of the area have now enough water which can last them up to the next rainy season. They now can engage in farming through irrigation thanks to the water pans project.
Maji ninatumia kwa kupanda boga. Sasa nimeanza kupanda boga. Za hapo kawali mifugo ilikuwa ile maji ambayo nateka pale kwa ile kwa ile nyumba kwa matangi ingekuwa sasa ishaisha. Na nianze sasa shinda ya kuendea kwa mto.
Michael Njage from Kangeta location in Beti South Ward is a beneficiary of the domestic water dam project. He is now engaging in mixed farming. He grows crops and keep cattle without worries that water shortage will disrupt his activities.
Imenisaidia saa hii kwa sababu ng'ombe inakunywa na nimeweza kupanda boga. Mandizi yangu sasa haitakuwa na water stress kama vile ilikuwa na water stress hapo kitambo. Na mboga nimepanda kwenye sukuma, nyanya, nimepanda mdoroko, manyonyi that is kude. Na nimepanda green maize ama mahindi mabichi.
Before the dam was constructed, the only available source of water was a river which is more than 3 kilometers away from the village. It was a treacherous journey to the river and back.
Maji tulikuwa tunatoa mbali sana kwa mto, kitu kama 3 kilometers kutoka hapa mpaka kwa mto.
Ile maji ambayo nateka pale kwa ile kwa ile nyumba kwa matangi ingekuwa sasa ishaisha. Na nianze sasa shinda ya kuendea kwa mto ambayo iko about 3 to 4 kilometers.
Some residents like Felistan Njage are even thinking of fish farming now. Water is in plenty to sustain any form of agriculture.
Si kufikiria sasa ningetoa wapi maji ya kuweka hizo samaki na sinatakanga maji.
Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Anyaga, while visiting some of the homesteads that have benefited from the project, noted that food security is now a sure thing in the area.
Hii mradi na target wakulima ambao wako kwa arid and semi-arid areas kama hii pande ya Mbere. Tunajua wakulima wanabidii na wako na mashamba, ile shida wako na kuanga nayo ni maji. So hizi domestic water pans, moja inaweza harvest maji ya service run of water. This kind of water harvesting structures, tunaona wakulima wetu wataweza kuwa wanaendelea kukuza vyakula hata mvua ikiisha, because this water is able to take them up to the next rain season.
With already 550 water pans constructed, CAS Nyaga revealed they are planning to roll out phase 2 of the project, targeting to construct 120 more water pans.
So in total tutakuwa tumeharvest 670 million liters za maji. Ile wakati kunanyesha, hiyo ndio maji tunabaki kama tumeharvest, ndio iweze kusukuma mkulima throughout the period ile wakati ya kunyesha ndio iweze kuendelea kuproduce.
With the area considered as semi-arid, through this project, residents of this area can now engage in agricultural activities without fear of losing their crops. Mwige William, TV47 in Mbeere South, Embu County.
Right, that story brings us to the very end of Saturday Prime Time tonight. But before we wrap up things, I'd love to sample some of the feedback that have been coming in. And the first one is from a guy named Fame Ibilisi. He says, tuned in as usual. Thank you very much, Fame. And there's also one called Chuchu Robert. He says, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I guess he's tuned, or he or she is tuned. And there's also one with a very interesting name here called Sipendi Mushene. She says, Hakuna Corona. Now, I don't know about that. I think that should be treated with some heaviness a bit. There is Corona, and you should do all that you've been told by the government and just take that personal initiative of staying safe so that we cross over this on the other side safe and sound. That was all from us here at TV47 for tonight. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. I'll be your host, Allan Owino. Until next time, be good and stay safe.